Hey everybody, this is Jace with another Ever Crisis video. Today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. I typically tend to do audio commentaries and guides and just clear videos, but I wanted to take a second today and talk about how I tend to manage my pulls, how I judge banners, and how the way that I approach these two things allow me to save crystals, allow me to pull for things that I know are going to be useful for my account, so on and so forth. So here we have the Tifa and Lucia banner. It's been out for about a week, and I've been waiting to pull on it, and that's intentional. I'll get to why I do that in just a moment, but for those who are just starting to play the game, and maybe even for those who've been playing the game for a while, the first thing I wanted to cover is that when you are looking at a banner for Ever Crisis, it's a little bit different than for other gacha games, I think, because in other games, at least in my experience, you're pulling for a specific character, or maybe you're pulling for a specific weapon. But in Ever Crisis, you're not necessarily pulling for the weapons that are featured on the banner. You're pulling for the costumes that are featured on the banner, the majority of the time. So the weapons that are featured on the banner, those are going to get added to the wish list. You can decide to add it to the wish list later and chase it, but the costumes, they're gone forever. So really what you want to be looking at is this costume going to contribute to my roster above and beyond what I have already, and is that contribution going to be enough? So we're looking at Tifa's outfit right now. It gives 5 points of physical attack, which when you think about it, just automatically brings you up to level 2. As you can see, I've brought up the boost physical attack, our ability details here, and that can be really useful because it means that when you equip physical attack sub-weapons, it's going to be easier to jump to the next level compared to if you didn't have those 5 extra points. This costume also comes with Frostblade Arcanum, which is basically the strongest elemental potency boost that you can get on a costume. I believe there are 35% boosts, those are the Arcanum boosts, and 20% boosts, which are the Mastery boosts. But this type of outfit that we're seeing for Tifa here, this is what I like to think of as the glass cannon outfit. So it's going to make Tifa very strong when fighting enemies that are weak to ice, but there's no HP on the outfit, so survivability can be a little bit of an issue. If we take a look at Lucia's outfit, it's the same thing except we're focusing on magic attack and Earthblade Arcanum. So 35% Earth ability damage boost, and same deal, it's going to make it easier to help Lucia reach those additional levels of magic attack. The weapons, I just wanted to take a little bit to go over them as well. This isn't a new banner, but I still wanted to just talk about it to help make the point that I'm making. The weapon is a pretty standard, good element-based weapon. So this matches Cloud's Murasame, Sephiroth's Edged Wings, so on and so forth. It gives physical attack, a pretty decent amount, not the highest, and the matching elemental potency. And then for Lucia's weapon here, gives magic attack, not the highest, but still a high amount, and the corresponding elemental potency, in this case earth, instead of ice. So these are pretty good weapons. For those who are new players, one thing I want to stress is it's going to be tempting to look at the weapon at its max overboost, and in fact when Applebot advertises the weapons, they're going to show you the potencies at max boost. You're probably never going to see these, at least not anytime soon. Maybe once you've been playing for over a year, or unless you open up your wallet, or you spend like all of your crystals, and I'm talking tens and tens of thousands of crystals, maybe you'll see overboost 10, but you're most likely going to see maybe overboost 1 if you're just completing one stamp card of the banner. So it's important to look at the weapon at all levels and think, okay, after I've pulled on this banner, where am I going to be, or most likely going to be in terms of the power of this weapon? You're most likely going to be at maybe overboost 1. So that's good to keep in mind in terms of how much you want to factor that into your decision to pull on the banner. But like I said, you're pulling for the weapons, or excuse me, the costumes, not the weapons. The weapons you can always put on the wish list of a future banner. So here I've opened the wish list. For those who aren't familiar with it, you can select different weapons from different characters. You'll see them appear in the bottom left, and those weapons have a higher chance of appearing while you're pulling on the current banner. So on the current banner, the featured weapons, in this case Tifa's gloves and Lucia's revolver, they're automatically appearing at a higher rate. So they have a 1% chance of showing up at a 5-star level. you have a 7.5% chance of getting any 5-star, but these show up at a 1% level, or at a 1% rate. The weapons on your wish list will show up at a 0.8% rate if there are 2 weapons featured on the banner. If there's only 1 weapon featured on the banner, which happened during the FF9 crossover event, then your wishlisted weapons will also have a 1% chance. Here I just wanted to briefly show you what I typically have on my wish list. I usually keep Mad Minute and Power Soul, which boost HP and physical and magical ability potency respectively. It's just a good sub-weapon for any physical attacker or magic attacker respectively. I always keep Sun Umbrella on because it's, again, a good sub-weapon for a magic attacker, and I keep Killer Hornet, which is a good sub-weapon for a physical attacker. So you can kind of get an idea of how I tend to approach the wish list. Is I'm trying to make sure that the weapons I get will apply to as many characters as possible because I love being versatile. I personally love being able to use many different characters. The last slot here, right now, I have Tifa's leather gloves, and that's because that's a bit of utility that I'm missing from Tifa. The leather gloves will reduce the physical attack of an enemy by 2 tiers, and that's pretty useful. I already have a physical attack down weapon on Matt, specifically his Slick Beetle, but I recently picked up a costume for Tifa, and I'd like to just make sure I have all the standard debuffs that people usually rely on Tifa for, specifically the magic attack down and the physical attack down. But that last slot for me, I will, change from banner to banner depending on what I'm trying to pick up. And, sometimes that might be a weapon that was featured on a previous banner, where I either didn't think the costume was good enough for me to pull, or I just want more copies of it. The exception to what I'm describing is crossover banners, which we just finished up the Final Fantasy IX crossover, and the weapons on these banners are never, well, they're going to come back, but we have no idea when they're going to come back, and you can't put them on the wish list. I decided to skip these and try the event first, which is the third thing that I recommend trying out. Is when these banners are released, you can feel a lot of FOMO, the day that they drop, because it's something new, it's something fancy, it's something great. And whatever event that drops alongside the banner is usually going to showcase how good the weapon is. So one strategy that I use for keeping myself from pulling is to just try beating the event without using the weapon. Usually I'm able to do it. And sometimes after the event, I come back and I decide I still want something from the event. In this case, after I've beaten, the hardest battles in this event, I decided I still wanted Tifa's costume because it looks so cool. So I actually went and completed one stamp card of the crossover 4 banner there, the one with Cloud and Tifa. I also completed one stamp card of this banner, the Kuja weapon, because I thought it was a weapon with great utility, and that's something else that I tend to value, is weapons that have utility. I love just making sure I have all my bases covered, and that weapon was great for that. It provided a good amount of coverage. The last thing that I wanted to cover was something I mentioned at the beginning of the video, which is waiting a week before I pull on the banner. So when these banners come out, they're usually out for a good chunk of time. Sometimes, 2 weeks, sometimes even longer than that. I knew that the Tifa Lucia banner was going to be out for a while. As soon as I saw Lucia's outfit, I wanted it. But I thought, okay, maybe the next banner is going to have something that I want even more. There's a banner dropping, I think it might have even dropped at the time of recording. If not, it's going to drop in like 3 minutes. But for those who don't know, the event that overlaps with Lucia's costume was actually the very hard Mount Nebel. A lot of the enemies were weak to earth, and 2 of the enemies, the Mole Crawler and Zetan Brital, I can't remember how to pronounce it, is weak to magic specifically. So Lucia just blows that up. But by the time this banner came out, I'd already gotten an S+ on that very hard dungeon, and even made a guide, put it on YouTube. So I know I don't need it to clear that event, but it's been a week, and I still really want to pull for Lucia. So once I finish up with this recording, I'm gonna go ahead and pull. I've taken the time to get past the FOMO stage. I've taken the time to get past the event, and I still think it's going to be a ton of fun for me to have Lucia. I really like her as a character. I have her built for physical damage, but I'd love to be able to swap back and forth with her I have the memories to do so. I have all the weapon enhancement materials to get her weapon up and rolling, and even if I don't end up getting her weapon to at least overboost 1, I can use materia and just wishlist that weapon later. Anyway, I just wanted to cover those 4 points. Hope you enjoyed the video, hope it's helpful, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya!